411 Mania, the Info Mania. If you want to be manic about your knowledge, you go to 411 Mania.
Man, it's probably the best thing since sliced bread.
You're the one that contact 9, and you're watching 411mania.com.
What up, this is Slaine, and right now you're tuned into 411mania.com.
Okay, we'll start off talking about your new album, A World with No Skies 2.0. So the original version was supposed to come out almost about a year ago, but was pulled kind of days before it was released. Can you just kind of tell us what happened with that?
Well, the album was pressed up and turned in, and partly due to the success of the town, it got pulled because sample issues. I don't want to really super elaborate on the details of that, but basically we had to pull it at the last minute, and half the album had samples on it, and by the time we went to approach it, and it would have taken us a few months to clear samples, and the album leaked on the day it was supposed to come out. So basically I had to go back in. Some of the samples couldn't be cleared, and then I did replays on some stuff, but I decided to just go in and retool the album.
So it was basically just because of your increased exposure from the movie The Town?
Yeah, that was right when it happened, because the movie was #1 in theaters and had made like $100 million. I had a couple of songs in The Town, and there was a complication that kind of went on behind the scenes that made it so that I couldn't use samples on this record.
You released version 2.0, so what are the main differences between the two albums? Is the theme of the album still the same?
You know what? When I went back in, the original version was kind of like the body of work that I really worked my entire life to make. So, I was obviously pretty fixated on that. I spent a while getting it perfect, and I was happy with it the way that it was. So, for me to recreate the album, it proved very difficult for me to try to do it along the same concept lines. And, during the same time, my life was just changing a lot because of a lot of different factors. But, one of them being I got divorced, and I just had some personal issues going on, which also caused me, threw me kind of in an emotional tailspin at that time. And, so it also affected my ability to carry out making the same record, because I was just in a different place, artistically, emotionally. And so, I think that 2.0 is actually, even though about half the songs are on the original version, I think it's changed the complexion of it. I kind of reapproached, rather than try to remake the album, I reapproached it and reinterpreted it, and I think it's a different record now.
So from the time of the original version was supposed to come out till the time the 2.0 came out, you released a couple mixtapes. Why did you decide to work so hard on those mixtapes?
I think, I've worked my entire life to get kind of just to where I'm at today. And I didn't want to let that slip away by kind of being shelved and forgotten about, which can happen nowadays. I think that you have to put out a lot of stuff in order to stay in people's consciousness. So, personally, I had that date in my mind as when I was going to release something, and I had promoted it to my fans, and I wanted to put something out. So, and I was also so, basically that album is just made purely on anger. So, I just went and locked myself in the studio and made that Devil Never Dies mixtape so that it would come out on the day that my album was supposed to come out. And then, the mixtape, that was kind of made in a time period of anger too. I think I just get emotional and I go into the studio and I make music. That's kind of my solution. So that's why I recorded so much music this year.
Do you think in this day and age, giving out mixtapes or whatever is a better way to promote yourself than, say, like a big single?
Yeah. I mean, a single nowadays is so, I mean, unless, you know, you're on a major and you're plugged into the radio payola or whatever, you know, like you're in the pop radio system, a single is really not even going to have much effect. You know, if you go to any of these websites, there's 50 new singles every day. So people just kind of, it's oversaturated. So people want to, you know, it used to be that you would put out a 12-inch and, you know, you would have classic underground type of songs that would last for a long time because it took time to print them, and then, you know, they would run the course of, you know, they would play on for instance, like a Stretch and Bobbito type of show would play a song, you know, every week that they were on for a couple months, and that would kind of make it, give it its proper due and let it run its course. Whereas now, you know, all the shows, like if somebody plays something, you know, on a Sunday night, then the next Sunday that song is old. You know what I mean? It's just a much faster process. So I think, you know, a mixtape has a longer shelf life than a single. Of course, it takes a lot more effort to make a mixtape than a single too. So
on all your tracks, you kind of seem to put a lot of emotion into them. Do you use your music as a kind of therapy for you?
You know, I'm an emotional person. I mean, it's basically, that's like how I deal with shit, you know. So you're naturally gonna get, you know, like I said, you know, the way I take my anger out is to make music about it. That's how I stay healthy, kind of. So I don't really think I'm that angry of a person in my everyday life because I think that I get through it with the music.
So you also have a movie career kind of budding. That's kind of getting really hectic. How do you kind of balance acting and music?
It's tough because, you know, really, I guess, you know, you could argue that I should be, you know, out really pursuing my movie career right now, but I have a movie coming out in March that I did with Brad Pitt and Gandolfini and Ray Liotta. And right now is just the time for my album, so, you know, I'm really focused on my music career, and my music is what got my movie career started. And my music is really, I mean, I really enjoy both, and I'd probably be acting, you know, hopefully the rest of my life. But right now, music has just been my life up until this point, and I just wanted to give it its proper due, so I won't be probably acting the rest of this year.
How do your co-stars kind of react when they find out you're a rapper?
It's different, you know. I mean, some of them laugh or be like, "Really?" You know. I mean, I don't really fit people's kind of stereotypical image of a rapper. So, you know, the way that I talk or the way that I look, whatever, for some reason it just doesn't fit kind of their image of it. So, you know, I think they're surprised when they hear my music and it's good. Not that I go around playing my music to everybody, but it's, you know, it usually comes out that I'm a rapper, and then, you know, people dig and look, and then, you know, by a couple of weeks into a movie, people will say, "Oh, wow, you're good. I like this," you know. So it kind of it changes for people's perspective and perception of you changes, I think, as it goes.
You're probably not going to be doing any other acting till the end of the year?
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm going on tour right through mid-December, so I kind of don't even want to tempt myself with it because I don't want to cancel a tour. I've already canceled a few tours. I seem to always get movies when, holy shit, I just remembered something. Fuck. Shit, I just missed an audition. That's fitting.
Interesting. Well, you want to do the tour anyways, right?
Yeah.
First, you have two groups, kind of, Special Teams and La Coka Nostra. Why has it taken so long for you to get a solo album out there?
Well, I mean, I think as anybody can probably tell you, like, unless you're set up with a fan base in place and all that, like, you know, this is my, you know, I put out the group albums and I put out mixtapes, but it's hard in this day and age. The music business is falling apart, so it's not easy to put an album out now. I mean, it would have been, you know, putting out mixtapes was one thing, but, you know, to put out an album properly and you're affected by how your album does forever. So if I was to put out an album at the wrong time without the right system in place, then it would have affected my ability to put albums out the rest of my life.
And have you thought about any more group albums with Special Teams or La Coka Nostra in the future?
Yeah, I think we'll be doing both of them again. And I think we're gonna do I think we're gonna do a La Coka EP soon, and probably an album next year, and then probably a Special Teams album next year at some point.
Okay, so over the past kind of year, you've gone through a lot, and a lot's changed in your life. Would you kind of change anything that's happened to you?
I mean, you know, I used to be like, I wouldn't change anything that happened to me because it made me who I am, but that's bullshit. Of course, I mean, you know, I definitely have regrets. You know, I wish I could have worked my marriage out. I wish I could have, you know, I wish that my album would have came out last year, of course. I wish this was my second album now, you know what I mean? But it is what it is. I mean, I think everything does happen for a reason, so I think at the end of the day, I think, you know, over this past year, I've definitely built up, you know, my buzz as an artist, for lack of a better word. I think there's more awareness about me now. So I think that's a good thing. But, you know, life, you know, you can't really get lost in your regrets, but I can't say that I wouldn't change anything, you know. It's been a tough go this year.
And you also seem to be really into that kind of boss sound of rap. You do a lot of work at Statik Selektah. Do you guys plan on doing, like, any more mixtapes?
Yeah, I think we might. Yeah, I think we might do a full record together. So that would be dope. It's just a matter of connecting the dots again, which isn't that hard with me and him. We work pretty well.
Okay, so anything kind of else you want to add? Your album came out yesterday, I believe, and I read on your Twitter there was something about wrong with the Best Buy copies, or?
Yeah, I mean, you know, no, there's nothing wrong with the copies of Best Buy. It's just, you know, I think what you're dealing with now is, you know, I think like 70% of the people that bought the Coka album bought physical copies. I think, you know, to really control, to you know, take power back into the hands of the consumer, you have to, you know, kind of embrace. I'm boosting like the biggest corporation in America, but you know, to legally download stuff is the best way to support artists at this point, because the stores are all shut down, the brick and mortar stores, and places like Best Buy don't really give a shit about indie. They don't give a shit about any kind of music, really. You know what I mean? They probably won't even be selling it 2 years from now. So I think the best way you can support artists like myself, if you're a fan, is to download it from iTunes or, you know, Amazon or wherever your legal downloading spot is, because that's the only way you can kind of overcome lack of distributors caring about your app. You know, for instance, you're not going to get anything except straight mainstream hip-hop music in most of those big chains at this stage of the game. So if you want to support a diverse or different kind of hip-hop music than what's being played on the radio all day long, on pop radio all day long, then you kind of have to embrace the digital era.